Creepy encounter while walking my dog. Often, I enjoy walking my dog at nighttime. This is due to the fact that my dogs harder to walk when people are around with their own dogs, so we tend to walk around parks in the area when they become somewhat empty. I'm not a very big guy. I'm just about 5'10" and very lanky, so I wouldn't call myself an intimidating figure. However, my 120-pound black boxer lab named Loki could be considered somewhat threatening to most, from what I hear. I figured his size would act as a deterrent for anyone looking to cause nightly troubles. I was dead wrong. On one specific night in the fall of 2016, I could recall of an encounter that reminds me of why I am so reluctant to walk around once the sun sets. This specific park is one I have been to a couple of times, and from what I remember, this park is usually secluded at around 6:30 or later. Aside from a couple of joggers and very few dog walkers, not many other people walk the same path I take. I also like to put on my headphones and listen to music while I walk, but on this specific night, I left them home. Anyway, the walk was going as usual. Loki did his business, and we continued on our usual path. About midway on our walk, I realized that it had started to get really dark. Since he was done with his business, I decided to cut the walk short, and we took a shortcut that kind of led us off the path. This path had a bunch of trees surrounding the area, and there were still leaves on the branches. With that being said, I felt a weird feeling, as if I were being watched. But since I knew the town was safe, I knew that nothing was going to happen. But still, I could not for the life of me shake off the feeling of being watched. I peered back to see if anyone had been following me, and every single time, there was no one there. There was actually no one to be seen anywhere. Suddenly, Loki stopped walking and looked back. I told him, "Loki, come on boy, we've got to go." One thing I failed to mention was that Loki is a big coward. I noticed his tail was tucked between his legs, which let me know that something was off. I was curious and a bit nervous, but I surely didn't want to find out what he heard or what he noticed. I just wanted to get out as soon as possible. I pulled a little, and he began to walk, but every now and then, I'd see him looking back. After maybe a minute or so of walking, he stopped yet again, but this time, he began to growl. I took this moment to see what exactly he was growling at. It was quite dark and I couldn't see very well, so I pulled out my phone and used its flashlight. Trees. Just trees. What he heard was probably some kind of small animal. Once again, I turned around and kept walking. He kept looking back more and more frequently. I told myself, it's just squirrels, maybe even a bird, and I ignored it. Then, I heard what sounded like actual footsteps and branches breaking. There was absolutely no way a small animal could have produced a sound like that. Loki quickly turned around, began to growl and bark at the woods, when a figure suddenly emerged. It was a man, maybe in his 50s or 40s. He was dressed in dirty clothing, his hair was long and graying, and he had one hand in his pocket when he said to me, "Nice dog you have there, kid. What breed is he?" "He's a boxer lab," I replied. "Oh, I love dogs. Mind if I pet him?" he asked. The man got closer and more in sight. As he got closer, I realized that he was quite tall and a bit burly. Loki instantly got bad vibes. He ran behind me and started to bark at him. Actually, I do kind of mind. My dog here doesn't like strangers. Sorry, but it's probably best if you don't pet him. "No, it's okay, really. He seems like a friendly guy. Just a little pet wouldn't hurt him." the man retorted as he got even closer. I felt extremely uncomfortable as he kept inching in. I don't know why this guy couldn't take no for an answer. I usually don't allow people to pet Loki unless he comes up to them first. If he's scared of you, then I usually don't want to freak him out by letting him be pet by a stranger, especially considering this stranger came out from the woods. "I'm really sorry, man. I'm scared he'd bite you or something," I told him as I began to walk away. Like I said before, I wasn't trying to be judgmental or anything, but the dude just came out from the woods and was more than likely the one following us from before. "I don't know why you just won't let me introduce myself to him," the guy replied angrily. I walked faster, trying to get away, as he followed us and kept muttering to himself. I don't know if this man was under the influence or something, but he did not let up. Loki and I began running. Looking back on this day, the running was all a blur to me, but I do remember the spine-tingling feeling of hearing his footsteps rapidly increasing in speed behind me. For a man of his stature, he was quite fast. His intentions may not have just been to pet my dog. No one reasonable would go that far just to pet a dog that clearly wanted nothing to do with them. I looked behind me, and he was in pursuit, maybe about 10 feet away from us, chasing us. I'll never forget the look in his eyes. I've never had anyone look at me like that. A look of killer intent. All for what? Just because he couldn't pet my dog? Finally, the path led us to an exit and we got onto the busy street. I lived about 10 minutes away from the park, and I made sure no one was following me, and I even made sure to walk on the populated streets. After what seemed like an eternity, we got home, but I knew for a fact that I wasn't going to get a minute of sleep. From my window in the porch, I watched all night with Loki just to see if anyone had followed us home. I also made a police report with my parents. After all, this guy seemed to have been quite suspicious, and who knows what his true intentions were. Had his target been someone who couldn't protect themselves or run away, what would he have done? I also often ask myself, what if I had worn my headphones and the sound of music made me unable to hear him approaching us? Ever since, I haven't walked Loki in that park. I've also made it a habit of mine to walk on livelier streets at night. If I could give anyone one piece of advice, even if you live in a relatively safe town, do not let your guard down. You never know what kind of person may be lurking in the shadows.